All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome here to another episode. So, me and Troy are going to do this every week. For everyone wants to know, we're going to do an NRL review, NRL preview. So, I've been doing it on the radio. There's been some technical issues, so now we're going to do it this way. So, you'll be able to catch this on Troy's Paracade podcast, and also do it with my Weekend Warriors podcast, and catch this on Duckman TV later as well. So let's get straight into it, Troy. So how have you had a bit of a look at the games for this weekend so far and had a bit of a think about what's going on?
Yeah, I have, Duckman. Thanks for having me once again. And shortened round this week in the NRL due to State of Origin next Wednesday night. So seven teams have got the bye this week. So um, there's a few mismatches. I think there's probably one or two maybe good games. I think in this round due to the bye, but certainly at least there's still some footy being played this weekend.
Yeah, well, this first one we're going to have a look at. It's going to be a bit of a tough test for the Tigers. So they're up against the Sharks. That is what's tonight. So that one's tonight. So they've got a whole bunch of problems at the moment. They didn't get beaten 74-0 for no reason at all. The Cowboys were very, very good last weekend. I thought the Tigers, they just were shell shocked once it blew out the 40. They just looked like they didn't know how to manage the process, and they're lucky that it didn't blow out much higher than that again. So, in saying that, they did counter attack the Cowboys and put on a couple of chances, and I thought they might get a couple of tries too, but it never eventuated.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, they got smashed last weekend, the Tigers, by the Cowboys, but this is a new week. We saw back when the Tigers smashed the Cowboys 66-18 back in May. The next week the Cowboys played Parramatta and they sort of stood up a little bit and they were in the game. And I guess that was because of the embarrassment of the week before. Who's to say that'll happen with the Tigers this week? Who knows? That could be a little bit different. They've had a lot of dramas this year, so it's going to be interesting to see how they can bounce back. They've made a few changes to their side. They got beaten. This game's played at Combank Stadium as well. So one of the last times that I think that the Tigers will play at Combank Stadium as one of their home grounds. They're looking to get back to Leichhardt and Campbelltown as home grounds. Uh, the Sharks, well, they're pretty much sort of full strength. They've got Matt Moylan and Nico Hines in the halves. Nico Hines, he'll be wanting to have a massive game just to show the selectors what they're missing out on. Um, so he's come out and said, look, he's disappointed and that he's not in the Origin side, as you would be, but it's not going to affect him. So, look, I think the Sharks will just win this one 13 plus. They've had all their buys in the competition now, so they've got no more buys to come. So they can't bank those 2 points. So they want to stay in touch with the top four.
Yeah, I think they will too. So you got in the Tigers into the lineup to see Tarsi James come in, Justin Matamua, Tommy Tuilui's pretty good player, and Will Smith. So Will Smith, we're talking about the same one that used to play for Penrith and Parramatta, aren't we?
Yeah,
So
yeah, been playing New South Wales Cup a lot, but they've brought him in as a little bit of a 19th man, so you may see him get a run, maybe just for that something different in the side.
yeah, well, I'm surprised he's not starting, right? Because he's like an X factor guy, really. So they need someone to do something. They looked if they copped a massive hammering again, there will be questions raised about Tim Sheens, how long he's going to stay in the job. I know he came out the other day and he said, "Oh, he really should be in it for a while." But how can you say that? The only reason why you could probably say that is because they've guaranteed Benji Marshall and Robbie Farah jobs, and they're inexperienced. So otherwise, you would think Tim Sheens would be under the pump if he's even going to keep his job at the end of the season.
Yeah, definitely he is. Although they've come out and said that no, he'll be the coach next year. Benji and Robbie will come in 2025. Um, but you'd like to think maybe if there's another big score put on this weekend, maybe give Benji the reins for a couple of games this year.
Yeah,
Just see how he goes. Maybe not give him full control. I mean, at training and that, I mean, he's taking control of the team anyway at training, and Tim's taking control as well. So behind the scenes, the stuff that we're not seeing, we're only hearing that Benji's doing a lot of coaching anyway. But if there's another big score this weekend, you'd probably like to think that maybe Benji could have full control for maybe a couple of games this year. The season would be gone, just to see if he could handle that in a difficult situation. And obviously they still have Tim Sheens there anyway, so yeah, it'd be interesting times to see what happens, and especially tonight.
yeah, and have a look. So have a look at a couple of their outs as well. So they've got Alex Twal out. He scored a try a couple of weeks ago. Get his first NRL try. Brent Naden is out. So are we looking at as injury or form? And David Nofaluma. So David Nofaluma is a very good player. So if he's out of form, you've got to have a look. There's some big picture problems going on with that behind the scenes, which maybe the Tigers haven't identified, or they need to identify because something is not right with the whole picture.
Yeah, well, especially David Nofalima, he's one of the Tigers' favourite players, try scoring machine. Obviously, he hasn't been playing his best football this year, but um, it's an interesting one there. So he can score tries. We know he can score tries, but that just means that the players inside him need to give him the ball and stuff like that in good space and to score those tries. So um, hopefully he'll get back to New South Wales Cup and he'll come back and get some form there, and hopefully for his sake, maybe force his way back into the first grade team and maybe look at a contract somewhere else, but perhaps.
Yeah, I do think that's probably a good option for him, really. And the Sharks, so they got coming in Braden Trindle, Jesse Colquhoun, uh, Moeni, I can't read his last name there. Herodi and Toby Rudolph. Toby Rudolph's a good player. So and Dale Finnecane out. So is Dale Finnecane going to say he's probably out injured, or he hasn't gone?
I'm not too sure, to be honest, but good to see Toby Rudolph back. He's had a foot turf toe, I think it was. So he's been out for a while there. So good to see him back
Yeah,
in this Sharks lineup. So in the run to the finals. So yeah,
yeah.
he'll be
So we'll
pumped.
see. Yeah, I think the Sharks are really putting the runs on the board, and they're just building themselves up to get into a good stretch of form heading into the finals. I think you're going to need to put together 5 or 6 wins heading into the finals, or as many as close to that as possible. Um, to really have a good run of form and a good shot at the competition. I think that they've probably got that mix. And Nico Hines, I suppose from reading what Greg Alexander said the other day, he's been playing good, but Nico Hines needs to just consistently deliver. So in the big games, because I suppose he's had a couple of opportunities this year to go on and kick on to show what he can. Uh, he hasn't gone missing, but he has named up in the games when you would probably think that he would around the Origin period time. So for a couple of games in particular when he was getting watched.
Yeah, he has been a bit hard done by playing centre in game one of Origin, not his natural position, and so he's a bit hard done by there. Only got 11 minutes or so, but um, yeah, look, I think also last year's semi-final losses as well probably maybe went against him, but he is the reigning Dally M Player of the Year, so. They have had a few losses this year, the Sharks. I think one against the Warriors, where you thought maybe that was at Shark Park, and you thought maybe the Sharks would get that win. So maybe that's one of the games that people are thinking of where Nico probably didn't grab the game and take control. But he's still a great player, and he's still got a lot to offer. So yeah, he'll want to have a big game against the Tigers and um, just show the selectors that he's still available and still there, and this is what he can do. And it'd be good for the Sharks as well, and leading into the finals.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, he is the future moving forward. I think for New South Wales as well. He's a young guy, so he will be there or thereabouts over the next couple of years. So we'll move on to the next game, Friday night's game. so it's not going to get. It could be another blowout. So Dragons up against the Raiders. I hope the Dragons can turn it around because they've after Brian Carr come in, they've really just copped a couple of heavy losses since that, unfortunately. There's a lot of question marks around Zach Lomax. I see him, he's lined up in the centres now this weekend, so that's not normal for him. He normally plays at 5'8". Moses Zembai, apparently he has a few question marks around him as well and his future with the Dragons. So it will be interesting to see how they aim up there. So Billy Burns has come into their squad too. Dan Russell has come in. Max Fiegel's come in. Mazesi Sulai has come in. Who else come in? Paul Turner, Siani for now. They've really chopped the lineup here. Zane Musgrove and Taladu Amoni. So, and who's out? Tyrone Sloan, Talua Moga, Jaden Hunt, and Ben Hunt. So Ben Hunt's obviously in state of origin. And for the Raiders here, who we've got it's come into the squad, they've got Clay Webb's come in, Danny Levy, Heaper Peru, Matt Frawley, Peter Hello, Trey Mooney, and Xavier Savage. So they've brought in some really good players here. So how do you think this one's going to go?
Yeah, look, it's going to be tough for the Dragons with their best player, Ben Hunt, out of the team, obviously with Origin. So it's going to be tough for them just in the halves with their opposition, Jack White and Jamal Fogarty for Canberra. The Dragons halves are very inexperienced. One good thing that has come out of this is number 17, Dan Russell. He's I think a 27-year-old, and he's making his debut in the NRL. So there was a little social media clip going around the last couple of days of him being presented with his jersey. So congratulations to him making his NRL debut at 27. Amazing. But yeah, I think the Dragons will struggle in this game. I think they do play, I think, a little bit better down in Wollongong. I don't know what it is down there, but they seem to play a little bit better down there. But without Ben Hunt, I think they're really going to struggle. Canberra are relatively the same side that they had last week and all year, so they're only missing Corey Horsburgh due to Queensland origin. So they're pretty strong. They're missing Josh Papali'i through injury, I think. So, but look, I think the Raiders will win 13 plus in this one.
Yeah, well, yeah, got Joseph Tapine. He's going to go forward there. Hudson Young and Elliot Whitehead in the middle there as middle edge forwards. They will cause a lot of problems for the Dragons there, I think. And
And
so
and
Sebastian Chris, a fullback there for the Raiders. Do you think he is? So they wondered about when they let go of Charles Nickel Clockstab was a good choice or not to let him go to the Warriors. What do you think of the makeup? I think Sebastian Chris has been good and really stepped up.
yeah, he has, and probably Canberra have seen that as well because he's just re-signed a contract with Canberra, I think, until the end of 2027. So a 4-year deal there. So excuse me, he'll be obviously they see that in him as well as a long-term fullback as well. So he's been pretty solid there. So congratulations to him getting that contract extension. So yeah, no, you're right. They obviously see that potential in him in that fullback position, and they think that Canberra, I think that they've made the right decision by letting Chance go to the Warriors and put Sebastian back at fullback. So um, they've made the right choice there. Good opportunity for the Raiders to probably try and put a score on the Dragons. We all know that the Dragons are struggling at the moment. Canberra are in a negative for and against in the top 8. So
And they're the only
that's
side like that too, I think.
yeah. So they're going to find it hard if they lose games with their for and against, just so how close his competition is. If you're on the same points as another team, then it comes down to for and against. So this is a good opportunity for them to maybe score a lot of points and bring down that differential. I think they're minus 62 or something like that.
Yeah.
But their first mindset will be just to go out and win the game and get the 2 points.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I can't understand with the Dragons, they brought in all these players like Peter Crouch and Billy Burns, Sione for now, Zane Musgrove, etc., and then they're sitting them 18 to 22. So what's the strategy? What do you think the strategy is behind that? Because these guys are good enough to probably be starting or on the bench for them, and they're sitting on the extended bench waiting to see if players get injured.
Yeah, I think you just always have to name a extended bench. So definitely a 18, 19th man. Um, and then you go down to 22. So I think you just have to name them anyway. I guess just in case of injuries during training during the week. Um, and some of these players that someone like Matt Frawley, he's been playing New South Wales Cup for a long time this year. So but he's just named as 18th man. Obviously, we know we've got the HIA 18th man that can be activated in games sometimes, so they have to have one there. So I guess it's just an extended, just in case someone gets injured at training during the week, and sometimes we see some of these players actually get a start in the game as well.
Yes, absolutely. All right, we'll roll on to the next game. Saturday, so it's a bit of game you'll be happy about. The Eels up against the Warriors at Parramatta 2 5:30. You going to get out to that one?
Yes, I'll be there. Home game. Can't wait to get back there to CommBank Stadium. I haven't been there for a few weeks now, so the Eels haven't been. They've been away and having buys and stuff. So this is going to be an interesting game. Obviously with Mitchell Moses, Clint Gutherson, and RCG Regan Kemp Gillard out for Origin. Um, two, three of their best players, Parramatta, and thankfully we've got Junior Paolo in as captain, sole captain of the team this week. So um, he'll be fired up as well because he's been dropped from Origin. So he'll want to. It's going to be an interesting clash between him and Adam Fanua-Blake on the other side, the Warriors. Sean Johnson has been named, but I don't think he'll play. His wife is expecting their second child, so around the 10th of July. So I don't think he'll be playing. Um, Speaking to someone in New Zealand yesterday, they said, yeah, I don't think he'll be playing because the Warriors have got a few milestone games in this. They got four players that are having milestone games. So um, Sean Johnson's one of those. He would be playing his 200th Warriors game. Adam Fanua-Blake, I think he's playing his 150th NRL game. Wade Egan, I think he's playing 100 games, and Dylan Walker, I think he's playing 200 NRL games, I think. But they did a post on social media the other day, and Sean Johnson wasn't amongst those milestones. So probably tells you that he's not playing this week. So that's a big plus for Parramatta. Um, but the Warriors will be keen to get another victory after a loss against South Sydney last week. So should be a good game.
Yeah, so I think the Warriors, if Sean Johnson drops out, he got Dylan Walker sitting number 14 there on the bench. I think he's going to be a halfback option straight off the bat unless they drop him at 5'8" and put Luke Metcalf into halfback to change it. Like they're not going to do anything real radical here and change the lineup too much. Dallin Watene-Zelezniak, what's that? He scored 4 tries now in a game. What is this for second or third time now this season? I think he's done it. So he scored 4 again last week, I'm pretty sure, or the week before. So uh, he's in red hot form at the moment. So Mike Acevo is going to have his hands full trying to cover him. So I know he can put on tries himself, but he's going to need to watch that. And Ryan Madison, you like seeing Ryan Madison sit there at 5'8"? I would have thought he's more of a 13 or maybe potentially a lock myself.
Yeah, well, he has done the job before. He played juniors at 5'8". He's played at the Roosters at 5'8". He's played, excuse me, at the Tigers at 5'8", and now Parramatta. So he did the job a couple of weeks ago against Manly um, with RC at halfback. So he does have ball playing skills. And as I said, he played junior days at 5'8". So he's only just become bigger as he's gotten older. So he's gone into the forward. So um, yeah, I thought that's probably what they would have done anyway. with Mitchell playing Origin. So, yeah, it's not too much of a surprise. I think for the Warriors, what they might do is they might put Ronald Volkman on as halfback if when Sean Johnson is named out of the side. He's been playing some pretty good footy in the lower grades there in the New South Wales Cup. So I'd potentially leave Dylan Walker on the bench at 14 and bring in Ronald Volkman in a halfback.
Yeah. Well, that might be the option. So the good thing is Sean Johnson really, I think he's only got a couple of years left in the tank anyway, at the most. So he's had a pretty tough career and been around for a long time. So the Warriors do need to have a look at like their succession planning uh, process at the moment. So maybe Ronald Volkman is the man to go for it. And I would say Dylan Walker's really like looking at, you want him to be a 5'8" if you get the best out of him, best bang for buck. So uh, we'll roll on. We'll have a look at the other Saturday game there. Got the Rabbitohs up against the Bulldogs. So it's gonna be tough because I don't think the Bulldogs are on 1 week, off 1 week. I think they're gonna be like that this week too. So I think they're gonna be on and they're gonna give the Rabbitohs a hard time. In saying that, it's a pretty good looking Rabbitohs side. Alex Johnson in it, Tane Milne, all these players right through. Lachlan Ilias, and it just doesn't get any easier throughout the whole lineup there. So the only bonus, I suppose, they lost Cody Walker, Kaloa Matangi, Damien Cook, and also Cameron Murray there for State of Origin. So uh, the Bulldogs will have to be pretty happy about that. So taking out a fair chunk of South strike power.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, the Bulldogs smashed last week by the Knights 66-0. They've made a stack of changes this week. Josh Addo-Carr's playing for Origin, which some people have questioned whether he should have been picked for Origin, just due to his club form and also his Origin form. We all sat here last year and said that he should have been in the side. He wasn't, and then he's been picked again and probably hasn't lit up the stage that we thought he would do. Canterbury have got Toby Sexton from the Gold Coast Titans, a mid-season transfer, starting at halfback. So that could be good for the Bulldogs, bit of fresh blood, and getting into that side and partnering Matt Burton, who again, probably a little bit disappointed about not being selected for Origin. Some would say, yeah, but Freddie's based the team off one game, the Newcastle Bulldogs game, and he didn't have the best of game there. But he's probably still unlucky not to be picked in that side. I mean, bit of bias. I probably would have picked Matt Burton in at 17 instead of Clint Gutherson, but they went that way. Because, I mean, Matt Burton's been there in the Origin camp, I think 18th, 19th man for the game 1 and 2. So he's certainly thought of. But even with these players out, even with these players out of South Sydney, I think they can still they've still got a pretty decent side. Obviously, they're going to miss their players that they have. Um, obviously, they're going to miss the players they have in Origin, but it just gives those younger players a good chance to step up and take that opportunity and get a win for South Sydney, who will want to stay in the top 8 as well. They've got a couple of buys left, which is good for them, but I think they're running at 7th position at the moment, so they want to. They probably would have penciled this game in as a win anyway, but you just never know until you get out on the field. So, and Tom Burgess is captain of the Rabbitohs as well this week, so a
Yeah.
big honour for him.
Yeah, I noticed that. So Toby Sexton, so you'll have a look at the Bulldogs there. So I think Matt Burton has been pretty harshly done by really to get dropped out of the Origin extended squad. So I think he does add a bit more versatility value than Clint Gutherson because he could probably play. I think Panthers even had him playing a fullback and he can play centre too, 5'8". Could probably get him to play halfback if you need to. The only thing they might look at is because he's left-footed. It reduces like being able to play on both sides of the ruck. So, or that's how they might look at it anyway. Toby Sexton will bring a different running game, absolutely, to what Kyle Flanagan has had. I wonder, is Kyle Flanagan really a halfback? So maybe we should be playing him 5'8", or some people are saying even do like what they did with Danny Badiris and make Kyle Flanagan a hooker. Maybe that will get a different outcome out of what you get out of Kyle Flanagan's game. He's a good player, but I think Toby Sexton will change it up. So he's like an up-tempo ball runner and will run he won't mind running at the line at all. So I can't work out why the Titans let him go at the moment. So I think they really have put all their money on getting Ben Hunt next year. If they don't get Ben Hunt, do you think they'll be disappointed they've let Toby Sexton go?
Yes and no, because I guess it's just an option that they won't have to pick. But I mean, they seem to have gone pretty all right this year with the halves that they've got. So Tanner Boyd in a halfback. They've got Kieran Foran there at 5'8". They got Jaden Campbell, who could possibly play 5'8". We've seen AJ Brimson play 5'8" before. So they've got a few options there in the halves. So I don't think they'll rue that decision of letting Toby go to the Bulldogs, because I think
They got
um,
cover.
yeah, they got cover, and they wouldn't have let him go if they didn't think that they had cover.
Yeah. So yeah, it's odd to see things like that happen in mid-season. It doesn't happen very much anymore. Mid-season transfers. There's been a few good ones back in the day. Bronco Dura did it a few times.
Oh, that's a name from the
South to
past.
St George, yeah, blast from the past. So
Bronco Jura. Yeah,
so
okay, okay.
coming out, he played fullback for Souths and Saints and 5'8" as well, and moved. I think he moved to both clubs in mid-season transfers. So from one to the other, then from one to the other again. But I can't remember
Yeah,
what way it
okay,
was
yeah. I think he
first.
was a toe punting goal kicker, I think too. I think.
Yeah, played cricket for New South Wales and the Australian under-19 squad when Ian Healy was there as a wicket keeper, and yeah, went pretty close apparently to getting Ian Healy's spot, but Healy had it. So he's about number 2 or number 3 in Australia at the time, and it stuck along the rugby league path. So
Yeah,
probably
wow.
rightly too. So would have been tough getting the Australian side back then. So
Bronco
yeah, anyway,
Jura.
I do think South will probably get the chockies on the Bulldogs. So we'll roll on to the next game. I will keep thinking about Bronco Jura. So Titans against the Dolphins. So Titans have got a really strong looking team here as well too at the moment, and I do think that the Dolphins, so they're learning on the run. They're learning very quickly. Katie Nikorima at fullback, Jermaine Asako, Ewan Aitken. That's pretty good looking back line there. Lance Tahiri, Tessie Nui, then you got Isaiah Katoa and Sean O'Sullivan. That's a good back line. And then you just got all these big guys in the forwards, Jesse Bromwich, Jeremy Marshall King. So he made a good choice in leaving the Bulldogs to go up to the Dolphins. So it's really helped him kick on his career now. So you can see the guys that have gone to the Dolphins, they've just gelled. Wayne Bennett's got it right. And they've just gelled. Christian Wolfie's doing a good job behind the scenes too. Um, when Wayne Bennett eventually steps down, he will eventually. Christian Wolf will be the man. Wayne need to take over Redcliffe, you reckon?
Yeah, you'd think so. Yeah, we all saw at the start of the year they had a pretty good run. They were winning games. They were in the top 8. They're going through a little bit of a tough patch at the moment with Origin and injuries and suspensions. But that man that you mentioned before, Jeremy Marshall King, is having a wow of a season. Seems like he's got a new lease of life up there in Queensland, coming from the Bulldogs. So um, he's he's been playing some great football, some great darts out of dummy half and stuff like that. So I think he's coming back from injury. So um, yeah, the Dolphins have got a good one there. I like I like the Dolphins in this game. I think they could probably cause a bit of an upset. I think the Titans are probably favourites in this game, but I think the way that the Dolphins played against the Broncos last week, I think they might be able to cause an upset. Obviously, they're missing the hammer due to Origin, so um, that's a big out for them. And Felice Kafusi as well is out, but it's relatively the same squad. Gold Coast, they're obviously missing Big Tino, David Fafita, AJ Brimson, and Mo Fadawaka due to Origin. So a few players out there. But this one's at Gold Coast. I just think that Dolphins will get this win.
Yeah, yeah, I do think they'll get the win. I think they'll probably dominate it. They've been very good this year, and I really like. I still feel bad that Justin Holbrook got the flick at the moment with the Titans because I think he's doing a pretty good job. And if he's in charge, I think that they wouldn't be doing any better or worse than what they have been at the moment. So I do think Des Hasler will change it up, and he'll probably be able to attract extra players that Justin Holbrook hasn't been able to bring in. Unfortunately, that's going to be the big difference because Desi's won competitions with Manly and with Canterbury. So, oh no, he didn't win one with the Bulldogs,
No,
did he? Yeah,
he
he got
made a
them to the
couple of
grand final.
two grand finals, I think.
Yeah, so that will be a big step up. Yeah, we'll see how that goes there on Sunday. So, but I would say if you're going to have a sling on the Dolphins. Nah, Jaden Campbell, but yeah, pretty happy how he's going this season. He really has stepped up at another level. He'd be getting close to looking at Origin selection, wouldn't he? So
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Jaden, he's re-signed with the Gold Coast. I think earlier on in the year for a couple of more years. Um, but it's an interesting one whether he wants to play 14 for his career or not, because you got, as I said, AJ Brimson there. You got Kieran Foran there, and now there's rumours that the Titans are after Ben Hunt as well. So it's going to be difficult for Jaden, but I think he just wants to stay up on the Gold Coast, still play football. But it's going to be hard for him to find a position in there with those players in front of him. Um, but he's still learning the game as well. He's only young, so he's still learning the game as well. But it's a pretty handy reserve to have and a pretty handy player to have bring into your side if you do have representative players out for your club side. So um, yeah, he's a pretty electrifying player sometimes, a bit like his old man. But
yeah,
um, as I said, he's only young. He's still learning the game. He's going to be there for another couple of years, so they'll find a way to use him in somewhere in that side.
absolutely. So for people that don't know who we're talking about, his old man would be one Preston Campbell. So the
Yeah,
Dalian Player of the Year at Cronulla when he was playing halfback, and then they moved him to fullback for some reason, then moved him to number 9 for some other reason. He didn't like that. And then he went across to Penrith and won a premiership in 2003. So, and an outstanding career and finished off with Gold Coast. He started off with Gold Coast. I can't remember who his first game was against. I remember looking at it a little while ago too, who he played against, and yeah, it just slipped me by. So let's have a look at the elephant in the room, State of Origin on Wednesday night. So how do we think that's going to look at the moment? So New South Wales, Queensland already think they're going to win this one, and they're going to do it by some sort of big margin. New South Wales, there's a lot of infighting, so I've got a funny feeling we've got a better chance when things aren't going great for us either. I don't mind that we're not favourites. I don't mind that there's a bit of squabbling. I think the guys might aim up. Very hard to tell what Brad Fittler was trying to do with his lineup phase. People ask, is he picking a lineup for game 3 or for the future? Because Bradman Best is like the build for the future selection. And then you've got some other guys like Cody Walker. That's not building for the future when you pick a 33-year-old guy. Where do you see the game sitting at the moment?
yeah. Look, it's a very interesting one. Um, as you said, probably Cody Walker. He's probably been thought of for games 1 and 2. I think he was injured for game 2. If he probably wasn't injured, he might have got the start there in game 2. If not at 5'8", maybe in the 14 role. So there was a little bit of talk about him in game 2. But interesting that he did get the start in game 3. As we talked about before, probably Nico probably would have been the selection I might have went with in that 5'8" role. Bradman Best is an interesting one. We've heard Greg Alexander say that he's New South Wales have had their eye on him for a long time, and he wasn't just picked because of that one game on Sunday. Um, but again, an interesting selection. That one may be for the future of New South Wales. I mean, you have Katoni Staggs up there at Brisbane playing some good footy, and Brisbane are up there. Isaac Tungo for the Panthers as well. Will Penasini for Parramatta. So there's a few options there. You probably would have thought that Campbell Graham would have got the spot if he wasn't injured. Um, Finally, because a lot of people thought he might have got the spot for games 1 and 2. Um, so that there are a couple of interesting selections. RCG, well, he probably came back into the side. He was the front rower for Australia in the World Cup final. So he probably would have made games 1 and 2 if he wasn't injured pre-hand. Um, Gutho is an interesting selection, as we spoke about before. I don't know where he's going to play or how long he's going to play for. Freddie's come out and said that we just love having him in the camp because he's a winner. He wants to win everything he plays. If he had a game of marbles, he'd want to win that one. He's very competitive and passionate, and he's the sort of bloke that you want to have around State of Origin. So he's an interesting one. So yeah, there's an few interesting selections for New South Wales. Queensland have had to make, I think, 2 changes due to injury and suspension. So AJ Brimson comes in for Reece Walsh, who's been suspended for 3 weeks. And Corey Horsburgh comes in as well onto the bench, I think it is. So they're a pretty settled lineup, and life is good in Queensland at the moment. Queensland camp, they'll be wanting to get the first series whitewash, I think, in 12 years, something like that, I think it is. Maybe even 13 years. I think 2010 might have been the last one. And that was by New South Wales, I think. No, Queensland. Queensland. That was by Queensland. So I think that'll be a motivation. It won't necessarily be a motivation for them to win the game, but it certainly will be in the back of their minds, no doubt. But um, Billy Slater's come out and said that he just wants the players to they're not even thinking about a 3-0 whitewash. They're thinking about just representing the state, the people, the fans, and all this. So
That's a load
um,
of crap.
yeah, I dare say they'd probably want to try and win a 3-0 series, a series 3-0, but just have to wait and see. Queensland are obviously favourites because they've won the series, but I think New South Wales will really want to get this victory in front of their home fans and put some so-called respect back into the series by losing it 2-1. So, yeah, unfortunate thing for Queensland is they'll get the shield at New South Wales, which I probably don't agree about. But if they won it in game 2, so they probably should have got it at game 2 in front of their home fans.
Now, I know a few AFL people like Richard Griffith. He asked me why they don't play State of Origin 1 at a neutral venue, like, let's say, Perth, Adelaide, like they did this year. Then play game 2 at the state who lost, and then play game 3. Oh, sorry, play game 2 at the state. Yeah, at the state who lost to give them an opportunity to win. Then game 3 at the state who won the first one to like try to keep it alive, give it a better opportunity to market it and all
Okay,
that sort of
yeah.
stuff. Because at the moment they have not sold all the tickets, so
No, they're
people think
struggling at the moment. I think they're going into 2-for-1 offers at the moment. So um, they're struggling to sell a crowd. I think it holds 80,000, so it'd be interesting to see how many are there on Wednesday night. So now that New South Wales have lost the series, but that's an interesting concept there about the home and away games for Origin. So um, yeah, I think they don't take it away every year to a neutral venue. So um, we have
it
seen
has
it.
flaws.
Yeah, it does. I mean, personally, I think it should just be New South Wales and Queensland. But look, what can you do? They want to take it to expand the game and make
Yeah,
money.
we're going to take it to the heart of rugby league next year when it goes to Las Vegas or wherever it's going. So They probably won't
Yeah,
even know what's going on.
yeah. Let's just hope they don't take Parramatta over there because I'm going to find it hard to get over there, I think.
Yeah. So is that going to be another exhibition game like the 1987 State of Origin they took to Los Angeles, or is this going to be a fair income game 1, 2, or 3 State of Origin match?
Oh, I don't think they're going to take State of Origin over there. I think they're going to try and take the NRL over there. So I think it's going to be like the season openers for round one. So they're going to take 4 clubs over there, I think, and have a double header over there in Las Vegas. I think they're planning on doing it for 2024. So um, there's been rumours about what clubs are going to be there. So maybe South, Brisbane, Manly, and somebody else. I think South have obviously got the Russell Crowe factor. Manly's got the Hugh Jackman factor. Brisbane, well, they're a Queensland side, so I guess get them involved as well. I don't know who would play each other, but they certainly. I think it's going to be planned for 2024. But as I said, I hope Parramatta doesn't go over there because I'm going to find it hard to convince the missus to let me go over to that game for a game of
Well,
rugby league.
I think just this is just a general observation. I wouldn't be sending St George Illawarra or West Tigers or the Bulldogs at the moment either. Like that might not be a great demonstration of close rugby league. You want to get a couple of close games. I would think the Brisbane and probably the Dolphins would be a good one, and
Well, maybe you
maybe
could send the premiers from this year over there as well. So send
yeah,
the team and the competition for this year, send them over there next year. So
yeah. Absolutely. All right. So, what do you got? That's wrapped up rugby league for the week. What do you got on the Paracade podcast coming out next week, Troy?
yeah, so released today. We're recording this on a Thursday. So released today is Russell Bowden, former Melbourne Storm player, premiership winner in 1999 with the Storm. A legit premiership that they won, not a scandalous one. So he also represented Queensland in State of Origin as well. Um, so got that one out today. This chat will come out as well on Friday, so tomorrow. So content every day. Got a game day preview of Eels and Warriors that I spoke to someone in New Zealand, the Warriorholic, massive Warriors fan. So that'll come down on game day, so Saturday.
Warriorholic. It's
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's a good bloke and massive fan of the Warriors. So chatted with him last night. Um, so yeah, got a bit going on. Trying to maybe do a bit of content every day. So podcast every day. So a little bit busy and coming up soon in the interview style podcast. Obviously, Russell's out today. Tom Leroy Lars as well, former Canberra Raiders player, most notably, and Brian Smith as well, former Parramatta Roosters, Dragons, Illawarra coach, Newcastle coach as well.
so very nice pickup getting Brian Smith. So would have been hard to pick him up too, wouldn't it? So he's a pretty busy guy, Brian Smith.
Yeah, it was yeah, pretty lucky to get him, and it was an honor and privilege to interview him because he doesn't give many interviews in the media. And yeah, it was an interesting chat about his coaching career and a few little thoughts about the game today. And he actually, when he was coaching back, I think in Illawarra, he actually brought the idea of 2 referees on the field. So it only took him like 20 years to think of that one and bring that one in. So he's a bit before his time there, thinking about 2 referees, and that's one of the little stories that we chat about, and obviously a little bit of Parramatta talk as well when he was coaching Parramatta. So pretty interesting chat. So that'll come out in a few weeks, but maybe I might do a few little sneak peeks at that one as well because create a bit of interest.
It should probably try to do that. And one thing I'm going to try to do now, I can tell you, I'll be trying to chase up Bronco Jura, see if we can get Bronco on
Bronco
for a chat.
Jura, yeah, yeah. Why not? Why not?
Absolutely.
Yeah, maybe we're gonna have a chat to him together or something. But
Yeah, that's what I'll
yeah,
do. We'll
Bronco
get him on.
Jura. So if any of your viewers have got any contacts with Bronco, then
Yeah,
yeah, let's get him on.
yeah, hook us up. Hook us up. We were keen to have a chat with Bronco Jura about his rugby league days at South and St George, and also his
Goal
cricket days
kicking.
too. Want the inside oil on Ian Healy? What's he really like? So looks
Okay,
too
yeah.
nice for my liking. So let's break down the myth.
Sounds good to me. So if you get him, let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Troy, thanks for your time. Really appreciate it. And I'll let you go. I'll chat to you again sometime over the weekend there.
Not a problem. Thanks, Duck man. Enjoy your footy this week.
Absolutely will do. See you, Troy.